Hey, welcome to the Wealth Agenda. I am your host and financial coach, Tania, Brielle, Mabrey, and today we are diving deep into the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and talking techie, talking about IT with a digital transformation expert, Amie Seisay, founder and CEO of Seisay IT Solutions. And this is the extended interview where we get really funky with it. We go really deep with it and find out the real. So Amie, thanks for continuing the conversation with us.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me today.
I'm going to jump right in, right?
Okay.
Because I want to know.
Let's do it.
And the people want to know.
Yes.
So what prompted you to go from boss in corporate, working in top tier firms, to starting your own company?
I had a desire beyond what I was currently working in on projects in corporate. I wanted to kind of advance along with the latest and greatest technologies. And sometimes it just depends on where you're working. You may be working on older technology. Maybe, there's barriers to working on the latest and greatest. And I think that for me, it was important to pick and choose the projects that I was passionate about, the projects that I can deliver the most value to, because I think that when you're passionate about what you're doing, it definitely impacts the outcomes for sure to be more positive.
So you were like, look, I can't be working on this old stuff. I need to be on the leading edge. I need to chart my own path. I need to choose my own projects. That's powerful,
yes,
right? Because we don't always want to have other people dictating our moves. And that's especially the case with wealth building, with finance, and for sure with entrepreneurship. So I know that you have been on this journey successfully for the past 11 years. You've been crushing it. But have there been any moments where you doubted your decision to become an entrepreneur?
I wouldn't say doubt, because I'm the type of person that naturally just doesn't believe in living in regret. And so I will say that there have been challenges, of course. One of those challenges were just hitting a financial rough spot, because I didn't really know how there would be like waves with businesses, right? Like you hear about it, you can plan for it, but then when it hits, you have to kind of figure out how you're going to pivot and navigate those tough times. It happened once throughout the entire time. And so you just have to keep moving forward and finding solutions. And you can't necessarily just kind of stay in the rut. You just have to keep moving forward. And that's just my mindset with a lot of things in life.
That's good. That's so important. She's saying, listen, if you're going to do entrepreneurship, you need to prepare for the ebbs and flows. And if you get into that rut, innovate. Don't stay stuck. Don't wallow. Figure it out. Climb on out.
Yes.
That is great insight. So I know that you started off as a solopreneur providing services. How did you know when it was time to start hiring employees?
So that's always tricky, right? Because you want to have a delicate balance of having enough revenue coming in the door so that you can pay yourself, having enough revenue to pay other people, and then making sure that you're accounting for when the invoice is going to get paid by clients. So I think when I first started out, maybe I was doing like net 30 invoicing. And it just depends on the client. It depends on the terms, but you can do net 15. Sometimes you could even figure out how you're going to prepackage your services to get paid in advance, perhaps. So it just depends on how you put together your pricing, your proposal, and the client. And so once you find that delicate balance of I have enough work coming in and then I can properly allocate resources to work on different projects, then I think you'll know when the right time is. And I think you'll also know, should I bring on 1099s or W-2s, because that's definitely another factor for benefits and employer liabilities that you have to factor into the equation.
I like that you didn't default to like the net 30, right? That you were like, let me see what else I can do to improve my cash flow, leveraging prepayment, leveraging net 15, because once you hire people, they want to get paid, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So speaking of paying people, what advice would you give to an entrepreneur about managing payroll for their team for the first time?
So payroll is not just paying people, it's also tracking their time. Tracking their time depends on how you're going to invoice sometimes, most times. And so having the tools and the processes in place to make sure that it's a repeatable process, having backups. So as a business owner, you can't do everything forever. And so you want to then cross-train other people to take on those roles. That way you have support when someone's out. You can share that process with others to take on those tasks. But definitely systems and processes are very important.
And how did you decide what benefits to offer your employees?
So that was tricky because, of course, healthcare is the most important, I would say. That's what I focused on primarily in the beginning. And then it was focusing on maybe the state requirements for some of the insurance that's required through certain states when you have W-2 employees. And then it's, of course, talking to the payroll provider to figure out what type of retirement accounts and, of course, planning for the liabilities for the employer as well.
Yes, having the proper insurance and liability in place is critical. And sometimes people really miss that step in entrepreneurship, right? Making sure you have errors and omission, making sure you have general liability. That can be critical in avoiding bankruptcy or having something happen that completely tanks your business.
Right. And because we deal with data, we have to have, of course, cybersecurity insurance. We've had a hospital as a client and they have higher requirements. And so you just have to go out and get that insurance if you want to secure those deals. For sure.
Yes. So I know for a lot of our clients out there, they're working on just managing their current retirement portfolios. But you are over here managing a portfolio of retirement portfolios. Tell us a little bit about that process and how you found providers for managing your portfolio of retirement portfolios.
So it was tricky in the beginning where you're trying to understand the calculations, right? The company has to provide matches based on salaries. And you want to make sure, again, with the financial planning, that you're properly planning for paying people, paying for their retirement, and then having them contribute, but then also the education and awareness that they would also need to understand, how to manage their plan as well, or rollover plans. And so having lots of conversations to understand how that's involved, and just we're still working through it. We're still, learning. We're transitioning plans right now. So it's always something to learn as a business owner.
I love that. I admire you. You are goals. I aspire to be there one day, and I'm going to call you and say, I need all of the tea on this part of the process. But that is beautiful.
That's true. And then the other piece for that, I will gladly give you anything I can share, because the other important piece that I had to learn is understanding who's filing the tax returns, the tax forms related to the retirement accounts. That was very important, of knowing, is it going to be the payroll provider or another entity that might be included in the retirement mix of the plan of who's providing support. Very important, because at the end of the day, the business is going to be responsible for any tax forms that do not get filed.
Noted. I have to know who is filing the tax forms. Y'all have to know who is filing the tax forms. She is letting you know. I told y'all the highs and lows of entrepreneurship and the things that you need to know. What is one of the best pieces of financial advice that you've received as an entrepreneur?
So we have this amazing partnership with TCG. They are a company who has been instrumental with providing so much support to us. And the owner of the company would just have conversations with me, and even some other people on the team, business development people, would have conversations. And the owner said, the best thing that you can do is save. So when you have those highs in revenue, save as much as you can, because there are always going to be unexpected expenses, and unexpected things can just happen. You may hit a budget cut at a company, and you have to figure out what you're going to do with staff and payroll and switching them between different projects. So if you have a cushion, that's going to make things easier when you hit those lows. Then you can plan for those times.
That is great insight and wisdom. As a financial coach, that is something that I work with my clients on an individual basis, is to set up that initial savings account. So for you to say that as a business owner, sometimes people may not think that I need to have a business savings as well as a personal savings, so that you can effectively navigate those highs and lows.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for sharing your entrepreneurial wisdom. This has been so good. And I hope, as those who are sitting there, that you may be in a corporate job, or maybe it's a government job, job, or maybe it's even an education, and you're thinking about making that leap to entrepreneurship, Amie has shared some amazing tips to do so. And if you are already a business owner and you need support for IT solutions and digital transformation, reach out to Seisay IT Solutions. She will get you all the way together. So thank you.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, that has been our show today. I am Tania Brielle Mabrey, your host and financial coach. We want to make sure that you are gaining every single tip when it comes to entrepreneurship and wealth building, and that you don't miss a single episode. So make sure you subscribe. In the meantime, keep building, keep growing, keep getting your money all the way together.